My original flock tree had turned yellow. I left it out of my attic for a year and I think it was too humid in the garage and it rusted. So I decided I was going to reflock it. I'm using some snow powder and the only other thing you need is some water. I would definitely recommend a larger water bottle. I decided to pour the powder into a bucket because I thought it would be easier for me to dip my hand in and apply. And of course, I do not recommend that you do this on a windy day, but I had one day to work on this. And it turns out it was super windy when I got started. So you are supposed to wet the branches and then sprinkle some of the powder. And then you wet the branches again to set the powder. So I realized that with all the wind, it was going to be easier if I just dipped the branch into the bucket and applied the powder that way. That actually worked well for me because I wanted a really thick coating of flocking, which is what I had on my tree previously. Then I always sprayed again with water to set that powder, but I will explain that I did something else at the very end to help set it. This is a really good example where you can see how layering it, that section gets really white right there in the middle of the frame at the bottom. So I was not quite halfway, but I had used less than half a bag of the powder, which I thought was great because I was putting it on very thickly. I know I lost a lot of product with the wind and also because I applied it so thickly. I really wanted to recreate the large amount of flocking that my tree had on it previously. This is a 9-foot tree and I ended up using almost 4 pounds. They come in 2-pound bags, but I didn't use all of the second bag. So I just want to emphasize again that you really do need to spritz water on first. I do recommend that you use a larger water bottle, and then you will apply the powder. I was kind of pressing the powder into each branch when I dipped it in the bucket, so I don't know if that helped it to adhere better or not, but you do want to utilize the water again after, and that is what sets your powder. I saw one review where they showed pictures that all the powder had flaked off their tree. They obviously did not read the directions because it will flake a little, but all of it's not going to come off. So I do want to mention that I did go get an N95 mask to wear when I did the second half of the tree. It really got to be way too much dust in my face. And I wear glasses, so I didn't need to wear safety glasses, but it's something for you to consider. It probably took me almost 2 hours to do the whole tree. There were some interruptions, and I did have to refill the water bottle a lot. I considered using a hose to apply the water to the tree, but I thought that might be way too much water for a tree that's full of electricity. However, I did end up using the water hose with a nozzle on the shower setting really far away from the tree just to make sure that I set all of that powder at the end. And I did let the tree dry completely in the sun for the remainder of the day. So it was out there for probably 3 or 4 hours. And we know it was a super windy day. And as you can see, there is some flaking off, and I'm sure there are other spots that flake more than this one in particular. But overall, I am extremely happy with how this came out. So I think this is a great product for flocking a tree to begin with, reflocking a tree, or maybe flocking one that you got at a thrift store. I would extremely appreciate it if you hit that like button, and I would love it if you would subscribe. I'm Gingy with Louisiana Creations, and I hope you found this helpful.